Hello everyone, this is the news break and I'm Maria Shakil. They were childhood friends. She stood with him when his own family deserted him. But little did she know that her friend of decades, I'm talking about her, will turn so brutal and will be responsible for her death. There have been many such incidents in recent years of intimate partner violence, and with every incident, it only gets more gruesome. I'm telling you the story of Nandini and Varthimaran of Chennai. What caused this death and why is there a rise in such cases? Brinda Adige, social and women activist, joining us. Kasturi Shankar, actor and activist. Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer. And we also have Rohin Bhatt, who is an LGBTQ activist. Rohin, the victim has been identified as Nandini, a 27-year-old software engineer. And according to her family, she had been friends with the accused here, Varthimaran, since high school in Madurai. And it's very clear that there was nothing intimate about it except that they were great friends. What really explains this extreme step being taken by him?
Well, let me start by telling you that the accused here has neither been convicted nor has been charged. Every person under the law is entitled to presumption of innocence. For some reason here, media seems to have gone away and already acted as judge, jury and executioner. Let the investigative process take its course. Let the trial take its course.
Yes.
Until this hold out on pronouncing verdicts on whether he killed her or not. Well, let me say this, that I do not seek to offer a defense of intimate partner violence. There has to be a zero tolerance approach towards such crimes. But having said that, let the law take its own course.
Yes, the law must take its own course. But Yashwardhan Azad, why is there so much of brutality in these relationships that the women end up paying with their lives?
I think, any kind of obsession, it's a very deep-rooted kind of a malady. And, any OCD, which you notice in various people, in fact, we have debated on your channel many a times. The problem is that the victims do not report, and even their families don't take them into confidence about their, such friends. And it's also, they feel somehow, shy in expressing this with others. In fact, the young, because of their romantic notions about associations and friendships and a false sense of loyalty, do not leave somebody even when they notice these traits. Now, who's going to tell them that these traits can cost them their lives and therefore they must intimate this to the parents or to the police or anything? In a foreign country, where, people are aware of this, they get a restraint order. If somebody is telling you that you cannot get close to your friends, boyfriends or girlfriends or anything, here is a time to sort of just move away and get a restraint order or tell the police and share it with your family. So I think I'm very sad at such cases, a grisly act. And I don't know whether it could have been saved. Yes, it could have been if the victim herself had spoken out and shared this with either the police or the family properly or gone to the court.
Yes, and the family often repents and regrets that why were they not standing for the victim. That has happened in multiple cases, and we are talking about those cases on our television screens. I mean, all the graphics have been put out from Shraddha Walker murder case where her father said that he wishes really that he knew about it. In this particular case also, Brinda Adige, the family says that they knew about Varthimaran and that he had changed from Maheshwari to a new person, and the sex change also happened here. He underwent that operation. But Nandini continued with her friendship. The first call that comes from the police, after that, when the parents try to contact, their calls go to this man, and then he also confesses, as per the reports, to the crime. What explains this kind of psychological hatred?
I completely agree with Yashovardhan, but we also need to address the issue that it cannot be the complete responsibility of the victim who has to have told her parents, who should have informed others. Yes, all that is important. Now, very often when we are friends, we don't really tell everything about our friends or our relationships or our conversations with our family. But now it is increasingly important to do so, I agree. But the insecurities with which this alleged accused has portrayed, because he did not want this girl to be friendly with anybody else. He completely wanted to have control over her and, as he put it, very possessive of her, obsessed with her and the friendship. And that part of it is something that women fail to recognize as obsession and possession, which is negative in nature. This is not that you are a special person. This is not that you are the only person under, his nose, his eyes, his whatever, his very life. That is something that women fail to perceive. Also, women have not been told that this is a toxic kind of an emotion, and these relationships are not good for the person, especially the victim. Now, that said, Yashovardhan also pointed out, saying that abroad one could get a restraining order. It could be a man, it could be a woman. We could get a restraining order. And that is the crux. In India, until a crime is committed, there is no FIR registered. There is no FIR or even a complaint registered that something like this, stalking, somebody making these kind of statements is not recorded by police as serious offense that can be committed in the future. So that said, even if they speak, let us assume Nandini decided to speak to someone, nobody would take these things seriously, especially not the police. So the justice system needs to change.
So, but what are these signs? I want to understand from you, Kasturi Shankar, what are these signs that a woman must get wary of? If there is violence associated in a relationship, then perhaps stalking or physical aggression one understands. But here, he tried to really give her that surprise, pretended to give her that surprise on the eve of her birthday, and then she was chained, cut, and then burnt.
I think I wanted to make a distinction. I don't want to generalize on cases. I want to take a specific example of Nandini's case first, because Nandini's case is one of a plethora of cases where murders are committed, violence and abuse is committed against somebody by people they trust.
Yes.
If you check the history of sexual abuse, and this I think is a crime of love, and somehow it is a sexual crime in a way, if you will. Most of these are committed to women in India by people that they've known for years, they trust, people in a position of access, and that's very concerning. In Nandini's case, the lover, it doesn't matter that she was a trans person, he was a trans man. That's not the point at all. It's the case of a jealous lover getting so possessive about somebody who's clearly not interested in him in a romantic manner. And then in India, we have this mindset, and as an actor, I have to admit with a sense of shame and disgust that this is a mindset that is also propagated in the movies.
That's right.
That कुछ नहीं मिला तो किसी को मिलने नहीं दूंगा. This is a kind of attitude that is propagated as true love, as I only hurt you because I love you. I only abuse you. I only spy on you because I love you. So we have a skewed idea of love that is propagated through generations, through our society, through our media, through our stories, through a lot of stuff that today's youngsters come across. They don't understand how to have a relationship, a respectful relationship with each other. And in Nandini Nandini's case, Maheshwari was her classmate, for God's sake. They've known each
Yes.
other for ages. How is she going to tell her parents? How is she going to tell friends? She did. She did tell them. She didn't say this guy is stalking me and trying to kill me. She said, I'm going out with him. That's how they caught him. Nobody's going to suspect people you trust and love and are fond of to turn around and kill you. There were no signs here. You're asking me what were the warning signs? In most of these murders, as a lawyer, I can tell you, most of the murders of passion, there are no signs. It's an impulsive thing. Maximum they've planned it for less than a week, but usually it's even less. So most of the murders happen off the cuff. So it's very difficult. One has to start educating our children in school about
Do you think there is a need for greater conversations around it? Because women always have this doubt of, what is really the fallback option for them? That it's all right to walk out of toxic relationships. Nobody really communicates that effectively to women. Brinda, would you agree with me that when it is about that support system, women usually lack that? And that is the reason why, anybody behaving even little better than normal, you tend to gravitate.
You're absolutely right, Maria. There is no way that women who speak up get the support that they must get from either the family or other friends and other support systems that might be there. Because again and again, women, most all of us, are influenced, like Kasturi said, from the media, from the films and some of the TV serials that come up about this possessive love as being this very strong, only kind of love. And that education is something that we do not get. And even when we speak about anything of this nature, even a slight suspicion, because I'm sure there would have been some kind of a suspicion or a feeling that she might want to have shared with somebody, we would immediately pounce on the victim to say, you're reading too much into it. The person just loves you so much. The person just cares for you so much. So I think it is time that we start this education and conversations to say that anywhere, if you feel, because there is an instinct that women usually feel. I'm sure men also feel, but I don't know about it. But women do have those instincts. Even if it is the slightest of it, talk about it. And to family and friends, take this seriously. And give the kind of support that you must get. Nobody says rush to the police station, get an injunction order. No, but at least caution so that the perpetrator, the alleged accused, would be accused, knows that there are people around who are there with her to support her at any point
So who
of time.
are failing these women, Yashwardhan Azad?
See, let me say that in our generation, there was quite a distance in discussing these intimate things with our parents. But times have certainly changed. And there are families now where you can easily see that there is more interaction. The generation gap has come down. And they're very, very clued with all the problems of the children. So what I'm saying is, as the generation gap closes, nears, things are happening. But the problem is in these OCD cases, it is very, very difficult. As she said just now, that is there are just no sparks. There is nothing. You don't know when this might happen. Now, Brinda is right when she said, this restraint thing and things like that cannot, just as it is. It's not prevalent in our society. But who has failed? I would say the family has failed. Because if you're not close to your children, then they're not going to tell you everything. And if you're very, very close, then I am sure that they'll tell you everything. That is the first place where it should be there. So who should be educated? The school is not going to tell you. The college is not going to tell you. So it has to begin at home. And the moment happens, then, there are women counselors, there are NGOs who can easily take over. But let me tell you, even in the police today, we are having a lot of these training programs of sensitization. And we are saying that this should be no tolerance cases, because we have seen in Delhi now, we have discussed in on your platform, Maria, many of these cases, the acid attack cases have resulted because of this, you know. and they never reported this. So I would say begin at home, the NGOs take over, and there should be a kind of program on the TV or on the radio or some Sunday program where these things should be discussed. We are too, moralistic, closed society. We don't want to discuss these things.
But
we
then
think,
they exist. It is
Yes.
there. Rohan, you would, because you're a lawyer, how many such cases are you aware of where you end up helping the woman or the man here in a relationship, trying to understand that this violence that they are subjecting each other to, there is an exit route that is provided?
Well, it's difficult for me to give you a figure off the cuff, but it's no small number. But having said that, let me say a few things. It is not that operation, it is not sex change operation, right? It is gender affirming surgery that the person goes through. There is no need to dead name the accused. There's no need to say that he comes into a new person. It is possible for us to have a respectful discussion about the issue without resulting to latent queerphobia. But let me get back to your question. Look, intimate partner violence is quite common in queer relationships as it is in heterosexual relationships. Now, these things are often not reported, as people have been saying, and I can't give you a figure off the cuff, like I said, but we need a greater research into such cases. We need a greater awareness about queerness in general. There have been cases time and again of queer people being murdered, queer people being left to die either in hospitals or in other places. And these are not treated with the requisite sensitization either by the police or by the media. So I think there's a greater need for sensitization, not just for the police, as Yashovardhan was saying, but also for the media.
Okay, I get your point. Let me bring in that story and then I'm going to come back to all the guests for their final comments. Let's see that story first.
24-year-old Nandini was found on Saturday evening, chained, with cuts on her arms, legs and neck, burnt after dousing her with petrol under Tambaram limits on the outskirts of Chennai. Her school classmate from Madurai, Pandi Maheshwari, who had become Vetrimaran after a sex change operation, has been arrested. Tambaram Police Commissioner Amol Raj told NDTV the two had been close friends and were working with a private IT firm in Chennai for the past 8 months. Vetrimaran was reportedly jealous and enraged that in recent weeks Nandini had become friendly with others. So Vetrimaran had invited Nandini to a pre-birthday surprise and murdered her. Vetrimaran has been arrested. With Suresh in Chennai, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
So how do you make women aware of that they are in a toxic relationship, Kasturi? That they should seek help?
First off, if they're in a toxic situation, yes, we will have to work towards raising awareness on how one does not have to tolerate it. And there are avenues that are ready to help all the time. I think increasing awareness about the anonymity, I have dealt with stalking cases myself, and I have I have mediated cases between the victims and the police, and we have wonderful sets of rules, and we have an excellent police and law enforcement system, at least in Telangana and Tamil Nadu, where I have worked on such cases. I have had excellent response from the police team. They really take care to make sure that the victim is in no way shamed or has to face any adverse consequences because of her reporting to the police and seeking help. So we will have to make more and more of, I guess we should have legal and law enforcement divisions do some outreach programs. Sir, I'll talk to the officer here on the panel. Perhaps we can conduct outreach programs on a regular basis in education institutions and in IT sector, where there are a lot of women who have to work late hours, late nights, maybe medical situations. Number one. However, I want to at this point place on record, Mr. Rohit, but this is not the place to talk about LGBTQ rights. Nobody is talking about that here. It is only part of the details of this case, just like we have named everybody else in the other heinous murders that have taken place before this by intimate partners. In this case, why I'm worried, and I think it's important that we talk about this instead of saying, it is not important. It is important. The gender identity and gender history of the perpetrator is important, because I don't know about your culture in the North, but in the South, it has taken a century, it has taken several centuries for women to come out of the shackles of don't go out alone, number one. Don't go out with men, number two. Now it's going to end up being don't go out with your female classmates. Don't go out with anyone. This is so regressive. Because of one crime, we're going to end up confining our women.
Kasturi, that exactly was the reason why I was telling about who this person is. Maheshwari changed her name to Vetri Maran and then underwent that surgery. Yes, go ahead, Rohin. It was nothing to do with the community per se, but it is about essentially highlighting that in this particular case, there is a different gender that is involved.
Well, let's start with that. It is not, again, like I've been saying time and again, it may not be a black and white queer rights issue, but the way we talk about the issue is important. We cannot, and I'm not for 1 minute taking away from the brutality of the case or the patriarchy that still affects the women in this country. Let me be very clear. There is no defense to patriarchy. There is no defense to brutal killing. But this is a queer rights issue, and I'll tell you why. Number one, if you are in a queer relationship, there is heightened stigma around the relationship itself. So second, there are systemic biases within the police force, within
I don't think so. That will be the right way to look at it.
Trying to justify a murder is actually...
I am not justifying a murder for 1 second. I have been very clear since the very beginning that this should be...
No, there is no stigma attached here because they were
committed
in a friendship. She stood with him purely on humanitarian grounds when his entire family had deserted him. So if anything, this man should have been a little more sympathetic towards his conduct rather than, towards the woman rather than killing her. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
I am not for 1 minute defending it. Please, let me be very clear. I am for 1 minute not defending either the crime or the patriarchy that fueled this crime. I am fully in agreement with everybody else that intimate partner violence is a grave issue. Intimate partner violence is what killed Nandini. I am not denying that. What I am saying is that the contours of this debate should not further biases against queer people.
That's not my intention, and neither is that being done. Yes, Brinda, you get the final word. Go ahead.
That is how it is playing out.
No, it is not. No, it is not, Brinda.
No, it's not playing out like that.
Yes.
Here it is so clear that these were two girls, friends from school, trusted each other, did everything together. Hold on, sir, one moment.
Maran was a man. Let us be very clear. He was a man.
Yes, but the reason why Nandini was his friend was because they were girlfriends in school.
Exactly.
She had befriended a Maheshwari in school who later became a man. Yes. Brinda.
Yes, that is what I was going to share, that they have been school friends. So they have been friends in school when the gender was not different. They were both female women. And like Maria pointed out, all his other friends, his family had also disowned him later in life. And she continued to be his friend, to be kind to him and have the relationship. Now that is the advantage that the person took. So it has nothing to do with the gender affirmation, change or whatever. But the fact that he could get away doing something like this to her, that he could do this, that is the scary part of everything that Kasturi and Maria and all of us are trying to say. Now families are going to be even more protective. You understand, they are not looking at the safety from that very macro point of view, but being protected to say, okay,
yes,
if somebody
to such
is
an
doing
extent
this,
that you
don't
will
go.
start even doubting whether the girl should step out even with her girlfriends. You know,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
it's one incident.
That's the fallout of
Yes,
this.
exactly, Kasturi. I agree with you completely on this. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Kasturi, Brinda Adige, Yashwardhan Azad and Rohin Bhatt.